Welcome to the NextGen Educators Podcast, where we explore the evolving landscape of education and share practical insights to inspire your journey in the classroom. I'm your host, Raquel Noir, and today we're diving into the power of attending education conferences. Joining me is Sam Mormando, Director of Technology and Innovation in the Garnet Valley School District. Let's kick things off with a big picture question. Why do you think attending education conferences is so important for teachers, especially those newer to the profession?
Great question, Raquel. For new teachers, it's about exposure. Education conferences are like a crash course in the latest trends, tools, and strategies. They provide an incredible opportunity to learn from more experienced teachers, and it's a chance to broaden your horizons, both in terms of ideas and connections.
I love that. Broadening horizons and building those connections really resonate with me. But let's be honest, stepping into a conference as a new teacher can feel overwhelming. How do you help teachers, especially first-timers, navigate that?
It can be overwhelming, but that's part of the fun. I always tell new attendees to embrace the chaos. Focus on a couple of sessions or speakers that align with your interests, but leave room for last-minute changes as well. Sometimes the most valuable moments come from unexpected conversations in the hallways or during a lunch break. Be open to learning, and don't be afraid to introduce yourself to people.
That's such great advice. I've experienced those hallway magic moments myself. Speaking of connecting, one of the reasons people hesitate to attend conferences is the cost. What's your take on districts investing in sending teachers to these events?
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. There's no doubt these conferences are expensive. We view professional learning as an investment, not an expense. When teachers attend conferences, they come back re-energized and bring back new tools and ideas. That enthusiasm spreads. It impacts their students, their colleagues, and the entire school culture. Honestly, the return on investment is huge.
Do you think it's also a chance to take a step back from the grind of day-to-day teaching?
Definitely. Teaching is hard work, and it's easy to get burnt out with everything that goes into. Conferences are like hitting the reset button. You step away from your routine, immerse yourself in new ideas, and return with fresh energy. Plus, if you're traveling for an in-person event, it can be a much-needed change of scenery. Virtual conferences have their benefits too, but there's something special about being there in person.
Let's talk about the professional growth aspect. How do conferences help teachers strengthen skills like communication and presenting?
When teachers present at conferences, they're not just sharing their expertise, they're growing as leaders. Putting together a presentation forces you to reflect deeply on your practice and find clear ways to communicate it to others. Even if you're just attending, you're learning by watching skilled presenters. You see what works, what engages people, and how to frame ideas effectively. Those skills are invaluable back in the classroom.
That's such a great point, Sam. It's like a two-way street. You're learning and teaching at the same time. What would you say to an educator who's on the fence about attending their first conference?
I'd say go for it. You'll be stepping into a space where you're surrounded by people who are just as passionate about education as you are. It's a chance to step out of your comfort zone, meet incredible people, and grow in ways you can't imagine. Whether it's the sessions, the keynotes, or those impromptu conversations, you'll leave with something valuable.
I want to go back to the topic about being a presenter. You present a lot at conferences. What benefits do educators gain when they step up to share their ideas?
One of the biggest benefits is building your confidence as a leader. Standing in front of your peers and sharing your insights is an incredible way to overcome your fears, improve your communication skills, and validate your work. Plus, the feedback you get from your audience often pushes you to think differently and refine your ideas.
I love that. But I'm guessing presenting can also feel intimidating for someone who's never done it before. What advice would you give to educators thinking about taking the leap into presenting?
Don't overthink it. Maybe co-present with a colleague for your first session. It can ease the nerves and make the process more enjoyable. And remember, you don't have to be an expert. Sharing your experiences, challenges, and what's worked in your classroom is incredibly valuable to others. At the end of the day, you're contributing to a larger conversation about education, and that's what matters most.
I like how you framed that. You're becoming part of the conference itself. Let's also talk about how presenting helps educators grow their knowledge base. How does sharing your expertise help you learn from others?
It really is like a two-way street. When you present, you're not just sharing what you know, You're inviting discussions and feedback that deepen your understanding of the topic. Other people might ask questions or share perspectives you hadn't considered. It challenges your assumptions and broadens your thinking. Plus, I'm often inspired by the amazing work others are doing, which then I bring back to my own district.
Speaking of inspiration, let's talk about the professional skills educators can build by presenting. What are some key skills you think teachers can update or refine through this experience?
Presenting sharpens so many skills. For one, your communication and public speaking skills improve every time you present. You also strengthen critical thinking because you have to distill your ideas into a clear and compelling format. And if your presentation involves using technology, you're honing your tech skills too. Beyond that, conferences often push you to think creatively about how to engage your audience, which can translate back into your classroom.
That's such a valuable point. These aren't just conference skills, they're transferable skills teachers can use every day. Before we wrap up, what's your final message to newer teachers, whether they're thinking about attending or presenting at a conference?
I'd say don't hold back. Whether you attend, present, or both, you're stepping into a space that's all about growth, connection, and inspiration. If you're nervous about presenting, start small or partner with a colleague. And if you're attending, go with an open mind and embrace the opportunity to learn.
Well said. Thank you, Sam, for sharing your insights and energy today. I think you've given our listeners plenty of motivation to explore the world of education conferences, whether they're first-time attendees or aspiring presenters.
Thanks, Raquel. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning into NextGen Educators Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your colleagues. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and remember, everyone at your next conference was once a first-timer at some point. See you next time.